starting a new tradition today. We're going to start the service with the singing bell being rung 3 times. The first ring is to center ourselves in sacred space. The second ring will be to honor those who have gone before. And the third ring is to open our hearts to all we can be. Thank you. Do you want me to start walking right now? Oh, okay. There's a couple people coming in. We're delighted to have you with us today. Today we celebrate Martin Luther King and our Love Ambassadors Sunday service. Today we welcome a special Love Ambassador. Would you stand, please? Thank you. Tom Usamra has been with chaplain for the Grand Traverse County Jail for 38 years. In addition, he's well known in the Traverse City community for co-founding BDAI, before, during, and after incarceration, a program providing individual and family support before, during, and after incarceration. There will be more to celebrate about the Deacon and his programs later in our service. If you are new to this congregation, or if you are a visitor, please raise your hand if you would like to introduce yourself. And Chris will bring you a microphone so that you can be heard by all those in the sanctuary and all those at home.
Good morning. My name is Pat Free, and I'm here with my husband Brian Black and my son Henry Black, and we're from Escanaba, Michigan. We're visiting Henry, who's a student at the Great Lakes Maritime Academy, and we're UUs there.
Good morning. My name is Evan Clinton. I'm here with my wife Rebecca and my two children Henrik and Gabe. We live here in town. We've been interested in coming for a while, and we were at her parents' house here on Old Mission this morning, and so decided to come over and see what everything was about. Thanks.
Hey. Okay. Following the service, there will be yellow mugs on the coffee tea table. If you are a visitor, please feel free to take one of those yellow mugs, and we can get to introduce ourselves and know you a little bit. I am Ann Stevenson, a member of the Sunday Services Committee, and we welcome each of you. We're delighted to have you with us this morning. I wanted to point out our floral arrangement because I did a little research about it to find out what represents justice and love in the floral world. Justice is the purple flowers, and red are the love flowers. I thought they did an okay job considering those two don't really go together well. Sharing our joys and concerns with this beloved community helps us stay connected. Your joys and concerns may be written on the book to your left, which is over there on that little table. And these joys and concerns will be shared by Joni Jackson of the Congregational Care Team later in the service. You may write a message in the book when you arrive or during the centering music. And the centering music is right now.
hope you're awake this morning. Wow. Thank you, Barbara. Whoever you are and wherever you are in life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. I'm Reverend Alex, the senior minister here at UUCGT. I use he and him pronouns. And what an exciting service we have today where we'll get to award our second annual Love Ambassador Award for Social Justice. This is a pretty cool historic moment for our congregation. I want to just make a note, though, that we are unfortunately down for the count with a couple of staff members and other folks today who are sick. So those of you that are staying home because you're sick, thank you for that. Unfortunately, Anne-Marie, our music director, as well as Chelsea Bentley, our director of religious education, both are sick today and so won't be with us. But we're going to continue on with this wonderful service. So this is an award that we award, the Love Ambassador Award for Social Justice. We're hoping to award it each year to invite someone in to share about their good work or the work of their organization and the wider community that also aligns with the mission of this congregation and our shared values. So we're joined today by this year's awardee, Deacon Tom Busamra, his wife Mary, and all those who have come to support and celebrate him and the work of before, during, and after incarceration. But we're also grateful to have Emmy Cholak with us, who the award is also named for. So I just want to, again, thank you both and all of your supporters and loved ones who are here with us today that we get to celebrate with you. So as we begin our service, my microphone seems to be acting up a little. As we begin our service, it seems fitting that we hear some words by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose life and legacy we also remember today on this MLK Sunday. These words come from MLK's letter from a Birmingham jail. You might recognize some of these words. He writes, "I have traveled the length of all the other southern states. On sweltering summer days and crisp autumn mornings, I have looked at the South's beautiful churches with their lofty spires. I have beheld the impressive outlines of their massive buildings. Over and over, I have found myself asking, what kind of people worship here? Who is their God? If today's church does not recapture the sacrificial spirit of the early church, it will lose its authenticity, forfeit the loyalty of millions, and be dismissed as an irrelevant social club with no meaning. Every day I meet young people whose disappointment with the church has turned into outright disgust. Perhaps I have once again been too optimistic. Is organized religion too inextricably bound to the status quo to save our nation and the world? But again, I am thankful to God that some noble souls from the ranks of organized religion have broken loose from the paralyzing chains of conformity and joined us as active partners in the struggle for freedom. They have left their secure congregations and walked the streets with us. They have gone down the highways of the South on torturous rides for freedom. Yes, they have gone to jail with us. I have no fear about the outcome of our struggle in Birmingham, even if our motives are at present misunderstood. We will reach the goal of freedom in Birmingham and all over the nation, because the goal of America is freedom. Abused and scorned though we may be, our destiny is tied up with America's. Come, let us worship together this morning.
I now invite the Reverend Alex to come up and, he's up and light our chalice. The chalice will remind us of the fire of justice and the warmth of love. As we read our mission on the back of our Sunday service schedule, let's read together. Grounded in love, we protect the web of life by building beloved community, making good trouble, and embodying radical love, engaging in lifelong learning. Now Reverend Alex will sound the singing bowl. As it fades, I invite you to consider this life quote from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Faith is the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase.
For our opening hymn this morning, we're going to be singing an African-American spiritual found in our teal hymnals, but this is a hymn that comes to us from the times of slavery. As we prepare to sing these hymns and spirituals, let us do so with deep care and reverence, honoring the resilience and faith of the people who created them. Many of these songs arose from times of profound oppression. They were hymns of comfort through the horrors of chattel slavery to the injustices of Jim Crow segregation. They carry within their words the enduring hope for freedom and justice. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we join in singing our opening hymn and lifting our voices together. Hush. We are singing verses 1, 2, and 3, and then repeating verse 1 again. Thanks, Jeff. Well, hello, friends. I am playing the role of Chelsea today since she's sick. I would invite any of the young ones or any of you that are also young at heart. I know we have a lot of folks that are young at heart here. If you'd like to come join up here, we have a nice little rug. No pressure if you're feeling a little bit shy. But I have a story to share today that's about kind of some, well, there we go. We have someone young at heart coming forward. Yeah, come join us. It'd be great to have you. So who has heard of Martin Luther King Jr. before? Anyone? You all can participate too. All right. What are some things you know about MLK?
I don't know.
Still learning about him? Yeah. What do you know? He was a dad. What else do we know about MLK? Go ahead and shout it out. Preacher? Yep, he was a preacher. Someone say activist?
He chose being a Baptist over being a Methodist because he thought it would reach more people.
That's right. Chose being Baptist over Methodist and over being a Unitarian Universalist, funny enough. So a lot more we could talk about that. But Well, anyway, we have a story to share today called Milo Imagines the World. And this is a story that kind of gets at some of those greater themes. Our mission here at UUCGT is, one of the 4 points of it is building beloved community. And Martin Luther King Jr. didn't just mean building a small group of people, kind of like a church setting, but really the beloved community in the wider world as well, where everybody can enjoy the blessings of freedom, justice, and love. So as we're hearing the story today, I invite you to imagine such a world like that to honor MLK's legacy. So Milo imagines the world. What begins as a slow, distant glow grows and grows into a train that clatters down the tracks. A cool rush of wind quiets into a screech of steel, and when the doors slide open, Milo slips aboard. The train bucks back into motion as he and his sister squeeze onto bench seats. The whiskered man beside Milo has a face of concentration. A businessman has a blank, lonely face. The wedding-dressed woman near the far door has a face made out of light, while the dog peeking out of her handbag has no face at all, just a long, lolling tongue. These monthly Sunday subway rides are never ending as usual. Milo is a shook-up soda, excitement stacked on top of worry, on top of confusion, on top of love. To keep himself from bursting, he studies the faces around him and makes pictures of their lives. At a downtown local shop, the whiskered man folds up his crossword and hurries off the train. Milo imagines him trudging through brown mounds of slush. It's a 5-flight climb to his cluttered apartment, where he's greeted by mewling cats and burrowing rats. Parakeets tweet songs of longing as the man sips tepid soup, hunched over a game of solitaire. Late that night, the door to the parakeet cage mysteriously falls open, and the cats gather on the cold sill to watch the birds fly free above the city. Milo tugs his sister's sleeve and holds up his picture, but even when she turns to look, he can tell she doesn't see. She's a shook-up soda, too. A boy in a suit boards the train with his dad. His hair is a perfect part, and there's not a single scuff on his bright white Nikes. Milo imagines the clop, clop, clop of the horse-drawn carriage that will carry him to his castle. Imagines the clink, clink, clink of the guards slowly lowering the drawbridge. Across the human-made moat, the boy is met by a butler, 2 maids, and a gourmet chef offering crust-free sandwich squares. Who else doesn't like crust on their sandwiches? Yeah. Milo flips to a fresh page at a bustling midtown stop, where the wedding-dressed woman strides off the train, a band of street performers launches into "Here Comes the Bride," and everyone on the platform stops and cheers. Milo imagines the grand cathedral ceremony where the couple will be pronounced husband and wife. Imagines the groom whisking his new bride to an awaiting hot air balloon, where the pilot loads them in with blankets and blasts the heat, and up they go, hand in hand, beyond the concrete walls of the city into the infinite blue. Milo holds up this picture too, but his sister shoos him away. "Can't you see I'm playing my game?" He watches her thumbs bang around her smudgy screen and then turns back to the boy in the suit. They lock eyes for a long few seconds, and suddenly it feels like the walls are closing in around Milo. The spell is broken when a crew of breakers bounds onto the train announcing, "You all ready for a show?" Several curious faces look up as the beat drops, and now the girls are walking up the walls. They're whirling around poles, they're backflipping over shopping bags. When the train pulls to the next stop, they collect a few dollars and scramble for another car. Milo imagines them going from train to train, doing their act as everyone watches. But even after the performances are over, faces still follow their every move when they walk down the electronics aisle at the department store, when they cross into the fancy neighborhood. Milo doesn't really like this picture, so he puts away his pad and turns to his reflection in the window. What do people imagine about his face? Can they see him reciting his volcano poem to the class? Can they hear his mom's soothing voice reading him a bedtime book over the phone? Can they smell the chile colorado bubbling in a pot in his auntie's apartment near the cemetery? Butterflies flood Milo's stomach when it's finally their stop. He follows his sister onto the cold station platform and up the stairs. Above ground, he's surprised to see the boy in the suit a few paces ahead. He's even more surprised when the boy joins the long line to pass through the metal detector. Milo's sister suddenly bends to give him a hug. "I didn't mean to snap at you," she says. She takes his hand, adding, "You have your picture ready?" He nods, feeling the warmth of her fingers. As they slowly shuffle forward, Milo studies the boy in the suit, his dad rubbing his thin shoulders. And a thought occurs to him. Maybe you can't really know anyone just by looking at their face. Milo tries to reimagine all the pictures he made on the train. Maybe he could have done it like this instead. Or this. Or this. Milo's chest fills with excitement when he spots his mom through the crowd. His sister rushes to give her a hug before pulling Milo in too. And it's in this tight tangle of familiar arms that he feels most alive. When they separate, Milo flips through his pad until he finds the right picture. "I made this for you," he says, holding it up. And he watches for the smile he hopes will spread across his mom's face. So that's the end of our story this Sunday. But I want you to kind of think about that. What is the world that we want to build and create together? A world in which all of us can be seen beyond just what we know of one another on the surface level. We don't have religious education classes today, so you're invited to stay with us in our service, but we will still sing. I think we like to sing to our young folks. So we'll join in singing Spinners and Weavers together.
Web of life, and the joy that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are children of tomorrow, we are children of our dreams, we are planners and builders in this web of life, and the future that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being.
Now it's time for our offering. Our stewardship touches those within as well as those beyond our walls. Today's offering will be shared with BDAI to support our continued acceptance of the inherent worth and dignity of every person and our work for equity in all human relations. You may refer to the slide if you're watching online for several ways you may give. When you give, you may always designate your gift as you choose, for the congregation, for those in need, or for fulfilling your annual pledge.
practice as a religious community to set aside time in our service to honor the joys and concerns that mark our lives, the milestones and moments of our lived experience. I'm Joni Jackson, a member of the Congregational Care Team, and any of you can join us at any time. Just let us know. Each one of us will be sharing the joys and concerns every week. And those that have been written in the book, I'll be reading later on. If you have a joy or concern that's a little bit too heavy to share with us, I invite you to reach out to Reverend Alex or to any members of the Congregational Care Team. I think there are some of you here today. So if you'd raise your hand, there's Ann Swaney, Carl Kyneth, Jane Watts. I know Richard Miller is an adjunct member. And an adjunct member will do things when they're needed, but they don't have to come to the meetings, which are... They are only once a month, but we do keep in close contact with one another. So if you'd like to keep a joy and concern private, you may light a candle at any time during our service. And we will hold you on our heart as you're held in the love of this community, because none of us is meant to travel this journey alone. So now, if I could go back down and get the book, because I forgot to pick it up. I'm glad to hear you laughing instead of being mad. Yeah. Thank you, Reverend Alex. So this is what's been shared by the community. Here's a joy. 3 months ago today, dark clouds came into and changed my life. The support I've received from the congregation has made the clouds dissipate. The hurt is subsiding, and I will be happy in my new home here. Love you all, Mr. Fred. Wow. Let UUCGT celebrate achieving good trouble. Congregation status in 2004. This is Mike Radke and Jane Zerbo. May we accept the challenge of 2025, protect democracy. Serve our marginal neighbors and our neighbors. Defend an environment, and this was written by Mary Van Valen and Mike Radke. Here's a gratitude for the soul uplifting service last Sunday. All the amazing hymns and stories filled my heart. Thanks to all who made it come together, including Marianne and Dave. And this is by Catherine Van Norston. And now let's hold a brief pause for the joys and concerns that are still too tender in our hearts to share. Thank you.
So in this space of tenderness that we've opened up, I invite you into a spirit of prayer and meditation, taking a moment to just breathe deeply at your own pace, feeling the ground beneath yourself as you center yourself. And close your eyes if you find yourself comfortable. God of justice, God of mercy, great love that holds us all and holds us close. Draw near to us in this time of great transition and trepidation facing our nation and our world. All around us, we see injustice and evil at work. We yearn to be reminded of those glimpses of life and goodness that are also around us, too. May we earnestly pray this morning for all those who are incarcerated, in prisons and jails, in confines of poverty and injustice, in restraints that hold us back from a nation and world with liberty, freedom, and justice for all. Be with those who are imprisoned, loving Spirit. Draw near to those who love and support them, and remind them that they are not alone. As we pray together, let us commit ourselves to rebuilding this world anew, a vision for a world that goes by many names, the place where heaven and earth meet, the kingdom of God, the beloved community of Dr. King's vision. We cannot stop now. Now is when we are needing one another most. Many we not stop until all of us are truly free, where each one of us lives in a nation, society, and world that guarantees life, liberty, and joy for all of its people. Give us the strength to be the spiritual community we need to be for this 21st century. The world awaits, and we must answer. Amen. Let us join in singing our hymn of response, Spirit of Life.
Now I can see you. So, good morning. On this, it's a cold but beautiful day. I noticed the sun is out. Remember that object up in the sky? Some people say hello with their heart first. You can feel their presence through the warmth and welcoming they radiate. Sitting and talking with Tom as we got to know each other, we didn't even need to speak. The exchange of understanding and acceptance was felt as we put feelings into words. He cares for others as he would care for himself. When I referred a kid in jail with multiple offenses to Tom, he was a non-obedient teenager, belligerent. Tom took the time, and the kid cooperated and accepted the caring guidance. That is Tom, readily felt by and accepted by others, even the most belligerent and difficult. You don't have to know Tom long to know he cares and will be there, doing all he can. And so it is a giant honor to give this amazing Love Ambassador Award to him. When I was given this awesome award, I was really flabbergasted, overwhelmed. I don't think I said thank you enough to Reverend Alex and all. Please accept my belated thank you. Last year, I shared this honor with an amazing teacher, Laurie Jowinski, and Blair Elementary School. There, they discipline through love and acceptance. They work in a very difficult area of Traverse City where the kids are in great needs, emotionally, financially, physically, everywhere, and they know that they are accepted and loved there. This year, with Tom Busama and BDAI, Tom again epitomizes communication with love. This kind of love is deep and sincere, coming from within the depth of a person's acceptance and understanding of the frailties and responsibilities of life. It is a love given without demands. It is deeply sincere and learned through the rigors of life itself. By its nature, it seeks and connects with the innermost love kept hidden inside each of us. It is so bursting inside that it must be shared for the good of all mankind. It is this communication that emanates from the heart and gets expressed through actions that can change a person's life, as exemplified by Martin Luther King and recipients of this Love Ambassador Award. It is Martin Luther King exemplifying our mutual goals of giving through love, working to bring all peoples fair acceptance by their own merits and equal judgment. It is in great contrast to what is happening in our country today as we set to inaugurate a president who exemplifies the opposite, leadership through action based on the premise of hate, revenge, and retribution. Some people say hello with a big mouthful of rhetoric that hurts and disparages the truth with their fists clenched, challenging all who might want to disagree. These people represent the opposite of the love and caring that we today dedicate to honor Martin Luther King. Let me quote Martin Luther King. "Power without love is reckless and abusive. Love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power coercing everything that stands against love. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." In true acceptance of the meaning of this day, let us celebrate Martin Luther King's good works and add Deacon Tom Busama and BDAI to our list of people who exemplify love for all. I have an award for you. Come on up here.
So now we've come to the time where Deacon Tom's going to join us up here for a shared Q&A sermon all about his work and his work with BDAI. So we have a microphone for you here. We'll just kind of get that turned on. We'll just want to hold that button here. Okay. There. Now it should be working. So Tom, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do with before, during, and after incarceration?
Well, thank you, Reverend Alex. If I may, before I begin, I just want to say how honored and humbled I am by being the second recipient of the Emmy Cholak Love Ambassador Award. I'm honored particularly because Emmy Lou's a good friend. How many committees are we on together? I don't know. But, she's just she's a justice warrior. She fights looks for good trouble and fights tirelessly. And so I'm just honored by that. And I also want to say thank you to Unitarian Universalist Church for recognizing BDAI and giving us support. We do appreciate that. And really, I share this award with several dozen volunteers and people who have made this a viable nonprofit that has a voice in the community. We're appreciative of that. We're totally volunteer, by the way. So, all right, to answer your question, who am I? Good question. I married for 55 years. My wife Mary's with me here. We have we have 3 grown kids and 6 grandkids. And I was a public school teacher for 38 years and was ordained a deacon in 1981. So I've been at that for 43 years, but with the jail for 38 years. And people say, why? Why would you go into this dark, dismal place and have these metal doors click behind you, feeling that trapped, dark, dismal place? And it's because we have good people in jail. I always lead with our neighbors, our fellow congregants, our co-workers, our family members. And the question is, how do we want them to come back into our community? And do we want them restored, or do we want them just punished and with mental health problems worse, substance abuse problems worse, PTSD and the abuse they grew up with as kids or maybe in a marriage, all that just worse, So that's what brings me back. And the other thing about the inmate is the incarcerated they're appreciative. They are at the bottom of the rope hanging on with their fingernails, and they're open to change. They're looking for a glimmer of light in their lives frequently. So counseling that I do, Sunday nights now, 4 or 5 people that request to see me. It's just powerful. People are looking for that change. So, and for 38 years, I've been going in Sunday mornings to do a worship service, one for the women, one for the men. And they're receptive, they share in the homily, they offer petitions, and they're appreciative on the way out. We always, I take my guitar in there, and they say, oh, we're going to sing today. Yes. Well, I only play for captive audience. Oh, that would be you guys. So, and then, occasionally I see a former student, and they say, Mr. B, what are you doing here? I said, well, we're a full-service public school system, so I'm here to hope to help anyway. What can I say? So where did BDAI come into this picture? I want to use a metaphor, and not go on forever with this first question, but this metaphor, difference between charity and justice. Churches, congregations do well, always have done well with the charity. But this metaphor is you or me standing by a river, and bodies are floating down the river. Some are alive still, struggling not to drown. And so, of course, I and you would pull them out of the river. That's charity, responding to the need. Justice is going up the river and finding out why the heck these bodies are floating down. Is it a broken bridge, a dam that's busted? Let's get this fixed. And so that's where BDAI came in. So it all started out of Justice and Peace Commission at St. Francis, and Ann Odell, our former co-chair, is here with us today, and Tony Stanfield, another member. But we always looked at the marginalized groups and tried to have book studies and panel discussions, what we do education-wise, and actually some service elements. And one night we had a night for the incarcerated. I think we called it Visit the Imprisoned. And another another chaplain and I gave us a presentation, and it was basically who are the incarcerated. And I'll talk about that later, but we found out, I was surprised, we didn't promote this event very much, but we had 40-some people show up, and 10 people signed up to go through background checks and protocol training, and in order to help out with the jail. And it just kind of, that energy just kept spinning, and I kept saying, how is this? Why is this? And it's, one study showed that 14 people are deeply affected by someone incarcerated. Obviously family members, but co-workers and neighbors and parishioners, you know, so. From that energy, we've had panel discussions in the community. We had law enforcement, community mental health, jail administration. I think there were 12 people at one of our forums that were held at Central United Methodist Church, that social agency over in the city, you know. So, and it just kept spinning. And so Tony Stanfield, Randy Clausen, and I, the co-founders, said, we don't want to lose this energy. So we started meeting regularly. Pretty soon we're a nonprofit with work areas and that sort of thing. So enough on that first question. You're going to be here, well, you know, pizzas have been ordered for the afternoon.
Well, you know, that's a great segue, I think, into one of your other questions. You know, what are some of the biggest challenges that individuals and their families face during and after incarceration? And how does BDAI help with that? I know that you've mentioned, you know, a lot of incarcerated folks are our congregants, our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones. What kind of work does BDAI do to support them?
Thanks for that, Alex. First off, I'd say that Wayne State University came up here a couple years ago, about 3, I think, and did a study of our jail. And at that time, there were 150 incarcerated folks in there. And they gave suggestions about data collection and that sort of thing. But one thing they did, they used an instrument, a survey instrument, and determined that 38% of the folks at that time were severely mentally ill. Severely mentally ill. And so one of the things that BDAI does, I'm sorry, I'm kind of emotional. One of the things we've done is the before part, before, during, and after. Before, how do we divert mentally ill away from jail, away from the ER, and get them the treatment they need? Law enforcement, both sheriff and police, were asking for that. Sheriff showed me one time 600 calls on the dispatch printout, and they were for mental health meltdowns. So rather than, you know, of course they're breaking the law, they're disturbing the peace, the mental health tragedy going on here. They may be stalking, whatever. Yeah, there's a law broke, but what if we took them rather than jail to some other place where they could get resources? So we've been working on that. Kathy Saunders, who's here with her husband Steve, headed up that whole effort. And so for 3 years we had CCAT meeting, which was Community Crisis Advocacy Team, and we had at one point 23 organizations and agencies coming together trying to answer the question, how do we fix the gaps in mental health? How can we empty the jail of people suffering from mental illness and get them the right help? 3 years later, that discussion evolved, and we've just opened up the Crisis Access Center. And in July, that'll be full 24/7 operation where police can take someone who's having a mental breakdown there, and they can be triaged to get help, can even have a bed for a few days until they're stabilized. So that's one good conversation that came out of that. Crisis intervention training, which the police and law enforcement are engaged in and trying to, you know, they're training each other. They have trainers who work to build the idea that we can de-escalate these situations and within the jail as well as in the community. And I think out of our discussions came a need for a social worker, full-time social worker in jail, as well as a discharge planner, but we'll get to that later. So that's our before part. We're working hard to advocate for a different response. During, we have just developed in the last few years a life skills curriculum. We meet with the administration once a month as well, and they've been very supportive about these classes. Building self-esteem, improving communication, what do you do with anger, budgeting, grieving and loss, some of the classes. We've just added some therapeutic classes like music therapy, art therapy, meditation, using your imagination, storytelling. And those have been, not only do I see that the folks are appreciative when they come out of the class, but I think we're making a lasting effect on them with these classes. The other thing that happens during incarceration is the people who are teaching the classes are just solid volunteers, so they get information, and we help people. Oh man, your house is flooded. We'll try to. Here's something that came up. We found out that a lady who just got sentenced to 15 months, house that she owns outright was flooded, busted pipe, and she's, you know, hyperventilating, having panic attacks about what am I going to do to save my house? Is it going to be there when I get back? So Ramon, who was I use his name because he's quoted in the paper recently on NPR, former returning citizen, if you will, that I've mentored, and BDA has helped. His family comes to our support dinner every month. Anyway, he said, I'm going to give back, and he went in and shut the water off, drained the pipes, lit the pilot, got the furnace going. Through his connections, he got this 5-foot diameter fan to dry out the house. So we're forming community as well. And so that's life skill classes. I'll talk about, in another question, what we're doing for families here. But the last thing is supportive release. So I get 3, 4, 5 calls a week, someone just out of jail who has to get to the porch to have a breathalyzer or a urine drop, but doesn't have a license, but a friend will take them if I can pay for the gas. I have no money because I haven't started my job yet. So we give out gas cards, beta passes. And the other thing we do, working with Sharice Shively, who is a community corrections coordinator with Circuit Court, is she'll identify someone who would not otherwise afford probation because they haven't got their job yet. This is intensely expensive, you know. They want to be out of jail on probation. They're willing to try it. It's like walking a tightrope because the cost for the tethering or testing and both sometimes is over $300 a month. So it's very hard to do. So we do that as well. And sometimes we find a reasonable motel, put someone up for 2 or 3 days on their way to residential rehab. And we can't do a lot with housing because it's so expensive, and our budget is, you know, limited. But so those are some of the ways we help before, during, and after incarceration.
Yeah, and speaking about effects on budgets and other needs that might be coming, you know, I think many of us are wondering, especially with the federal transition and administration coming up, how might, you know, all of this be impacted? So how do you think changes in this, you know, federal administration might affect issues of incarceration and restorative justice kind of across our nation?
I'm not optimistic. You know, we have a president-elect whose rhetoric goes to capital punishment. He's all for it. He's talked about wanting to see people put to death and that sort of thing. And, you know, to me, the lifespan is not just pro-birth. It's how do we work for quality of life for people struggling. We have 34 million people in our country who are food insecure, 9 million children. That's pro-life. But I don't see that conversation moving. The one thing that worries me most about the upcoming administration is with this threat of mass deportation. How many detention centers are we going to build? And, you know, President Eisenhower talked about the military-industrial complex. President Biden just talked about the tech industrial complex. I think there's a penal industrial complex in this country.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting statistic. The United States has 5% of the world's population, but we house 20% of the world's incarcerated population. Yeah. So war and crime has succeeded in creating racism and furthering racism. BIPOC, people of black, indigenous people of color, I see them more disproportionately in jail given our population for those 38 years always. So what are we doing? What are we hoping to do? So not confident. I think but at the same time, we got the local, state, and national level. Good folks who will speak a better conversation. We can still make inroads. We didn't get the state legislature to give second chance or good time or bail reform. We were hoping some of that would come through the lame duck, but it didn't materialize. So we'll continue to have that conversation even if there's not support at upper levels.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah. You know, this MLK Sunday, we're talking a lot about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so MLK spoke of justice, equality, and the need to address systemic oppressions. You know, how does BDI's work align with Dr. King's vision, you know, addressing these systemic injustices, not just with the incarceration system, but maybe you want to weave in also a little bit about how BDI helps to support some of the systemic issues affecting families, too.
Systems. You know, one of the, I think Martin Luther King would very much aware of immediate help that people needed, the sewage workers in, what was that city, Memphis, I guess, and then the segregation that he was always fighting against. He was, you know, going upstream to look at the problems with the system. So we know that we need a better conversation. You know, the attitude forever, especially with tough on crime, has been lock them up, throw you the key. If you're arrested, you must have done something wrong. And yet what I see is that people who cannot afford bail, those are the folks that live paycheck to paycheck, sit and languish. They have a court-appointed lawyer, and they're waiting to hear back from them after several weeks, haven't got a phone call, and they call, and sometimes they're told, you can't call here, you're blocked. This is their lawyer, can't speak to them until 15 minutes before the hearing, and then they give them the time of day at that point. But high 90% of people sitting in jail, languishing, do plea bargains. Well, they must have been guilty. No, they want to get back to their family, save their house, their job, their kids, reunite, and so, yeah, I just got to get out of here. I'll plead. And because their court-appointed lawyer has just said, well, you've got, you can go to trial with this and get 20 years, or you can take this 2 years here, and yeah, you'll be a felon, but oh well, you know. So the system we need a better conversation. I'm trying to get back to the point here, and I hope that conversation goes. Our mission statement is about restoration versus punishment. We want to be the voice. Our nonprofit wants to be the voice of, the voice of that conversation for restoration instead of just punishing. So, our support dinner. I guess to answer the question finally, our support dinner is a way we bring the families together, families of the incarcerated, once a month at Central United Methodist Church. By the way, you're all welcome if you want to attend. It's second Tuesday of every month, 5:30. It's like a potluck. The volunteers bring the food, but everybody else comes free. Like this last time, we had 6 new people. some wanting to volunteer, several that were previously incarcerated needing some support. And we get things going for them, a chimney repaired, a car repaired, a job found, and it's all good. And it's really a nice community. This is where we share legislative information as well. So we keep chipping. I think it's the conversation. That's how we work at the system. And then we do go down to Lansing and lobby for reform, and try to keep this conversation. Like, one of our goals is a new jail, and so we've teamed up with Sheriff Shea and others to have something where those 40% who are mentally ill can be serviced in a ward, perhaps, someplace close to the medical headquarters there in jail. And maybe people with substance abuse can be detoxed and close to the medical, and where the classroom is not downstairs in the basement where you have to go through 6 or 7 metallic doors. So it's a dark place. There's no natural light. If you're mentally ill, you're thrown in jail with 6 strangers and maybe more. You're wearing clothes that someone else wore the week before, including underwear. You don't know what's happening at home. You're totally out of control. People hyperventilate on a regular basis. So the conversation is important. Folks like you here gathered, listening far too long to me, that you can carry on this conversation.
Well, just to close, would you speak about any of the future goals that VDAI has? And also, if there's anything that you didn't get to tell us yet that you'd really like to share, I'd welcome you to do that too.
Thanks. By the way, thanks for the financials for it. Our treasurer said that in helping people sustain themselves out of jail, we spent $31,000 last year. Wow. What was your question?
That's okay. I've got them written down, so I won't forget either. What are BDA's goals for the future?
Okay.
And then anything else that you didn't get to share with us that you might want to?
One, people ask me, how can we volunteer, help with support dinner? But one way coming up, we're going to be training navigators. The jail, Tony and Sheriff Shea went to the commission and spoke about the need for a discharge planner. So people are coming out of jail. We have a full-time person in jail now who will work with them. What do you need? Do you need medical? Michigan Works, offender success, housing? How can we help? So we're hoping to train navigators to meet that person on the way out and maybe even drive them to their appointments here and there, get them stabilized and work with them. Emotional support, of course, to get them back on their feet. So that's our real big goal. Of course, the new jail is a big goal, and I can't think of anything else I didn't already say. So I'm sorry. I've never been a person of few words. Hey, it's enough out of you.
Your wife ratted you out a little bit, yeah. Well, I just want to, again, extend our deepest gratitude to you, Tom, for coming and being a part of this, for allowing us to celebrate your work. And seriously, like when you read the different points of our mission statement here at UUCGT, building beloved community, making good trouble, embodying radical love, and engaging in lifelong learning, I just see so much reflected in the work that you have done and all your many volunteers. So again, just a really big round of applause for keeping Tom
Thank you. I just, Alex's words of Martin Luther King that he read, he wrote those from jail. Just remember that.
That's right. Thank you. Oh, congratulations. Now let us just join in a brief moment of stillness for the wonderful richness of the time that we've shared together. And as we prepare to sing this closing hymn found in your gray hymnals, I note that this was actually MLK's favorite hymn, and one that is still beloved and sacred today to the African American community, sometimes even known as the Black National Anthem. So let us rise in body or in spirit as we lift every voice and sing.
As our dear Reverend Alex releases the flame this morning, let's consider these words of hope from the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Although we must accept disappointment and setback, we must never lose infinite hope.
This is your favorite primetime Sunday ritual of the litany of announcements. I do have a few to share. I'll try to get through these quick. I know that we're a little bit over time. Our first Sunday service announcement is that with the inauguration tomorrow, a new reality sets in for us. Our immigrant neighbors are feeling the threats most directly. Please stop by the social justice table to find out how you can help. You can come see our social justice friends, Mary, Mike, Jan, over in the social justice table in the social hall after the service. Just a note that tomorrow, with MLK Day, our office will be closed as a UUCGT staff holiday, so we'll return all calls and stuff like that on Tuesday. Join us after the service next Sunday for a UU orientation for those interested in learning more about the pathway to becoming a member. Maybe you're interested in just kind of getting more involved in the life of our community. It's no strings attached to UU orientation for you to learn more. You're not requiring you to join at that point. You can kind of just check us out. Just a note also that we have the Our Whole Lives OWL Sex Ed program orientation for 7th and 8th graders happening down the hall at the same time. So just a little bit of some overlap there. But if you haven't yet checked out the Our Whole Lives program that we do here, it's a really wonderful program. We really encourage you to check that out. And there's a parent caregiver orientation after the service next Sunday as well. Auction announcement. This is actually the last day to list items or experiences for our online auction. Bidding will start tomorrow, so get those items and experiences in. And if you're interested in submitting something, just reach out and we'll try to get that on as soon as possible. But don't want you to miss out, and how exciting that our bidding starts tomorrow on some really cool things. I have a last announcement to share. So in last week's Flash, there was a meme that we shared that caught some attention. Many found it funny and entertaining. A few of us didn't really get it. A couple of us even found the meme disappointing. So some actually went around to others to share this displeasure rather than approaching the office directly with their feedback. The meme that was shared was actually a meme that we didn't create. It was found in a lot of other UU online spaces, poking fun at the UU hymnals. I'd also like to note that UUCG's posts about this have actually gone UU viral, even shared with the UU Hysterical Society on Facebook, kind of a whole place that's dedicated about UU humor and memes. So just kind of highlighting that there were many that actually did get a lot of joy out of this. And so while we apologize for any offense that was caused by sharing that meme, we also celebrate that memes like this are a way of bringing our community together and engaging younger audiences, which this post has really done. So in living into our covenant that we share with one another each Sunday, I invite you to be accountable for you. If there's a post, a picture, or a meme that offends, or one that you perhaps might not fully understand, a few of us are maybe getting old here and memeing really isn't our thing. I really want to invite you to reach out to our office directly with that feedback. What you're not supposed to do is to go spread that displeasure around to others to stir up conflict and controversy. We're all doing our best to live into these shared values, so please approach us directly with your feedback. We don't bite, and we can't do anything with feedback that isn't directly shared with us and in alignment with our covenant. So let's not let little things like this get in the way of this wonderful community, and just be honest and direct with us. All right, that's my second sermon of the day. I see we have one other announcement to make.
So please check out the Lost and Found. It's in the alcove. We have 3 shelves full of stuff, and we're going to start donating it if you don't claim your stuff. Except your relatives. We won't donate your relatives.
I mean, definitely not the relatives with this part, but word is we might start auctioning some of the stuff off, too, for this auction. So, I don't know, Grandma might fetch a nice price, you never know. So, anyway, go pick her up. She misses you. And now, if you would please rise in body or in spirit and join hands or outstretch your hands in this gesture of please do not touch me. We respect that here, too. Those of you online are also welcome to outstretch your hands. And in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, and in the spirit of a just, equitable, and free world for all, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace, pass a little squeeze, and happy Sunday.